Nikki, welcome to the Light Path podcast. Finally, I wanted to capture you here for a while.
I know. You've been trying to get me on here and here in all her glory.
Finally convinced her. Maybe I bribed her. Well, don't worry about that. But she's here. That's all we need to know.
You didn't bribe me.
No, I didn't.
I came willingly.
Well, before we kick it off and we get to know the absolute magnificence of you and how fun you are, let us have a little insight into your psyche and share with us your favorite quote.
All right. It's definitely a quote that, I grew up like modeling and being quite alone and being, in a world that was all about sort of appearance and how you were. So for me, sort of growing up unique and being strong within my differences was something that really, was something I always honed in on. So a quote that is quite sort of strong for me is one that says, in order to be irreplaceable, you have to show your differences. And I just feel like that's such a strong one because it just shows you don't need to follow trends. You don't need to be like other people. You just need to be unique and true to yourself, and you're irreplaceable.
So you started modeling really young. How were you able to go through those adolescent years and those young adult years kind of staying true to yourself? Because the thing I love about you most is that, yes, so you're a model, so like you're gorgeous, but the personality that comes through, especially on your socials, I freaking adore it. And you are unique. You're weirdo, but that's why we love you. But
there's the opener right there. I got welcome my friend. She's a little strange.
This is my special friend, Nikki. Let's just hold our judgment. No. But you might it would have been really challenging to because it is all about sameness and what is right for the consumer in terms of the work you were doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the thing that got me through everything was family. I have such an incredible bond with my family. And even though a lot of people were like, I can't believe they let you go when you were so young and all of this. I mean, obviously times were very different back then. And I just feel like I always knew that I had their support and their strength and they trusted me. And I just that bond that we always held, I just knew that there was just so much love and strength behind me, and they just kept me humble. They kept me grounded. They kept me humble. And from that, growing up, looking back, I should say, it was a very interesting industry to be involved in. And, I definitely grew up with body dysmorphia and, I knew everything wrong with myself.
Would you have burst in on the scene around that heroin chic kind of phase? Was that your
Yes.
Wow.
It was definitely like you would rock up and it would be like they'd tell you everything that was wrong with you. Not symmetrical face, your nail beds aren't great, we would have liked your hips to be like the most stupidest thing.
What's a nail bed? Is that
a nail bed, like your nails, like, we don't like your nails, your hand can't be in shot, like just stupid things. And it was definitely the era of just sort of attacking people for what they look like, and now I love the industry for what it has grown to be with different sizes and, embrace everything that you have and that's, okay. And back when I was doing it, that just wasn't the case. So I guess after, it was a roller coaster ride. I'm not going to say it was all, fluffy ducks. There was definitely hard times, but I think one thing that I did come out of it with was a sense of humor because I had to almost, kind of ground myself as well and kind of took to comedy with that. Just like, okay, this industry is a bit of a joke. Oh, somebody told me that my left nostril's bigger than my right and I've got a loopy eye. So, I played on that kind of stuff and that's what helped me get through. And, it was, it kind of gives me the shivers when I think back onto that whole industry and what it used to be.
Well, hopefully the change is genuine.
Yeah, no, it is. It is genuine. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm nervous if any of my kids want to.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Yeah. Would you let them?
I'm all about whatever you want to be. I will support you no matter what. And it's something that I certainly, and my husband, he was like in the music industry. So we both lived these overseas.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah, these overseas kind of like public lives. So we're very supportive of what our kids do, but we at the same time know and will definitely pull them in and be like, you're just this kid from here. Don't forget about, all the little people. But
well, that's what I love about you, your groundedness, and the fact that your humor is about that self-deprecating, fun kind of humor. And that's what really drew me to you.
Well, I think what is definitely important now is to be true to yourself and also show that to other people. So, I don't want to leave my house and walk up to a cafe or go see someone and then be like, oh, I'm just waiting for Nikki. I don't want to catfish anyone. This is me. Yeah. This is what I look like. I don't use filters. I don't use anything like that. Like, this is what you are getting. And when it comes to me, during COVID, I really kind of started making these silly videos and stuff because that was just me. And then I thought, why aren't I showing more of this? Because this is the true me. And so that's when I was just like, right, anything that's on Instagram, it's just going to be a candid moment, or it's going to be me being stupid, or me taking the mickey out of myself, or and that's kind of what I want to show other people, that there's no angles, there's no this, I am me, this is real. And I think that is important, especially when you have young kids and these kids are growing up with social media. There is a lot of falseness on there, and I am in the industries and I see it all the time. So the one thing that I pride myself on is being real and showing my kids that I am real, and showing them that this is mummy's work. This is just mummy, you know?
And I can absolutely, you don't need me to, but I can absolutely vouch for that. Having worked with quite a number of people that have got public profiles, the authentic approach that you have to life and your socials is so real. And I think that just comes through.
Sometimes not great real, but it's real.
Sometimes I'm like, she's going to regret posting that. No, I don't.
I do think about that when I'm like, dressed up in stupid outfits and singing to the camera on Christmas carols. And I'm like, well, do you know what got me was when my eldest son started school this year. And it was like, that whole new realm, like as a parent, you're opening like yourself to this whole thing. And I thought, oh my God, all these mums and dads have no idea. And then I kind of got this like, oh my God, if anyone ever finds me on Instagram, and there I am like.
But they probably already follow you on Instagram. That's the thing. They're probably like, wait, I know her.
They're like, hang on, she looks at she's not wearing the Christmas hat and the stupid Christmas, or she's not got a bottle of wine.
It's more the wine and the chocolate.
I know. It's my weakness. What can I say?
When we connected on Instagram, that is why I was drawn to you. And then, it kind of like, it took you a while being a little bit skeptic of my world, probably like I'm a little bit skeptic of yours in terms of what you do. Like, is it really changing? But anyway, you kind of like opened up to it and you decided to come. So talk us through why you came to connect with me, I guess, and what I do in that way.
I mean, huge skeptic. I do feel like I am spiritual, and I do believe in that. But then at the same time, I don't, you just rein it in, Nikki. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
it's kind of like you believe, but you don't really know what you believe. So it's like,
and then also at the same time, it's like was interested in like having a reading and learning about all that kind of stuff. But then, there's so many people out there pretending that they can do it, and then, they just ruin it for you. So at the same time, I was like, how do you know you're going to the right person, or how do you know they're real, and how do you know they're going to connect with you? So huge skeptic. And at the same time, a part of you is like, jump in the deep end, give it a go. I was also very like, nah, don't waste your time. So when we connected on Instagram, I was very skeptic, and I think it took me a few days to really like banter back. But I spoke to my husband about it. I think I spoke to my family about it. Like, it was a big deal.
Oh my gosh, I've been through everyone's vetting system. I didn't realize.
Oh yeah, no. And then I decided, okay, like just do it. What either it's going to be amazing, or either it's going to, make you realize you were right. So just go do it. And then it was probably a very nerve-wracking couple of sleeps before me for the first time. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was like, what have I done? What am I doing? Like, do you really want to open up this whole like new chapter? Like, and then when I turned up, how many wheeze did I do?
Oh my gosh, she's so funny. So like, we'd obviously been talking online for a bit. Like, it was like we're online dating. Like,
I know.
So we had our first date. Anyway, so she came in. She's just like, "Hi, it's so nice to meet you. Look, I just really need to use your bathroom." I was like, "Oh, of course.
Nice to meet you, but I need to do a wee real bad." Break the ice,
Yeah, exactly.
I like to keep it real.
And so the intention behind you coming, like, what was it that kind of you thought, oh, maybe I'll kind of connect into this or that?
Yeah, well, the one thing that is always on my mind. So my best friend passed away when she was 14. And so obviously at 14, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of things like I live my life now always wondering what would she be like? What would she, would she have a family? Like I always think about her. She's a huge part of my life. And so I did really want to connect with her. So I like came to you with basically her on my mind. I was like, am I going to connect with her? Is this going to happen? And I had so all of my grandparents have passed as well, and one had just passed. So I kind of was like, oh, now's a good time to go because there's, been a recent passing in the family. I wanted to see if my best friend could come through. And then also my dog, which I know, I didn't know your abilities, and I didn't know like if dogs come through, all that kind of stuff. Like you hope that, you're going to be able to speak to your so-called, little buddy. But she was a part of my life for like 17, and God, did we go through roller coaster rides together. But she was a little soul that got me through so much. So I came to you with basically these three things, right? These three things. And that's all I could think about. And so I just thought, you're either going to home in or you're not. After I did about 3 weeks, you sat me on the couch and
ruined your life.
And then you basically opened up with, so I have to let you know that there is a third soul waiting to come down. I think I burst into tears. I think I just burst into tears because obviously I had 2 beautiful sons. My fertility story is, again, another roller coaster, 4 miscarriages before my first child, and then got told we could never have kids. And then we have 2 beautiful boys. So in my mind, I was like, a conversation I'd had with my husband like 3 weeks before, like, do we want to try for another kid? Is this on the cards for us? Is this something we could emotionally do? Like, is this something we financially could do? All these questions. And we had basically decided, no. Yeah. Like for selfish reasons, no, wasn't going to happen. You opened up with that. There is a third soul waiting to come down. This third soul doesn't want you to not to do it for selfish reasons. I think that was like your second line.
Oh my God, really?
I was just bawling in front of you. And I just remember thinking, how do you know we had just had this conversation? How are you opening with this? What about these other things that there was so many questions going in my head. So basically I was so afraid of you within a split, 5 minutes of meeting you. But yeah, you this third soul thing just really got to me. And then you led into talking about my eldest son. And at the time, he was nonstop talking about a ghost. We didn't know if he'd maybe seen like a movie with a ghost in it, or was watching like a YouTube thing, and there's ghosts and Bluey and all this kind of stuff. So we just thought he'd been watching it. But my God, you just kept hitting the nail on the head with multiple things. Saying my eldest son already is connected with the spirit. You said that they almost play together in his room, but the spirit is connected to a room that is heavily dominated by your husband. However, your husband doesn't sleep in there. So that was the spare room where my husband kept his clothes, right next to my eldest son's room. You was just saying things like this was the spirit of your mother's miscarriage. How the hell did you know that my mother had a miscarriage?
How do you remember all this? I don't remember any of this.
And then you said, what was the other like nail on the head with this? You said this energy of this third soul that is waiting to come down is very feminine. And you said, but don't go out and have this third child thinking it's a girl. And then you're like, what do you have now? And I was like, 2 boys. And you're like, yeah, don't go and have this thing, in hopes it's a girl. You said it's just a very feminine energy that I'm getting. And then you're like, you're going to be pregnant before Christmas. Well, then you lost me, because then I just cracked up laughing and I was like, no, I'm not going to be pregnant before Christmas. Like, that is not happening.
Because we would have met just before lockdown, the first lockdown, wouldn't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then obviously all these things were just freaking the shit out of me because it was just like so on par. And so just things that you wouldn't know. And if we keep on the same storyline of Billy, well, Billy was conceived kind of as a miracle almost. She was very early before ovulation. So basically my doctors could never, my OB could never calculate when her due date was, because it was just like she basically, I shouldn't have been able to conceive when that time was.
Yeah, wow.
Then the day we found out that we were pregnant, we actually lost my husband's grandmother, who was very much like a mother figure to him. And so we woke up to the news that she had passed. And then I basically was like, and every single pregnancy I'd gone through, that is how we found out I was pregnant, because I was just so nauseous. And we both just looked at each other. And then I peed on a stick, pregnant. But then the funny thing is, like 2 hours later, my youngest starts vomiting, and we're like, he can't be pregnant.
It's
then my eldest starts vomiting, he can't be pregnant. Then we all had gastro, but I was the first to go.
Oh, that's so funny. But did you decide to try for her, or did you?
No.
Because I know your husband was just like, every time you come near me, he's like, do not come home telling me we're having another kid.
Yeah. No, we didn't. We did not try to have her. No.
Okay. Wow.
She was very much pure surprise.
Yeah.
And just, everything you said about her, there's even things that you spoke about in the reading that just I did not understand at the time. And there's one thing that you said, you were like, this third soul, you're going to have this baby for your husband. This third soul, like obviously you're very connected, but this third soul, you're going to have this for your husband. At the time, I was sitting there looking at you going, why on earth would I carry a child for 9 months, go through all the drama? Like when I get pregnant, I have terrible nosebleeds. I am like horrendously nauseous. Like I have sciatica issues. If you really want to know more, hernias, like horrible. And so I'm sitting there in this thing going, no.
You're like, you love him, but not that much.
Yeah, I don't think you're right there. And then I think it was this year or last year that just like hit the nail on the head, the connection of what you had said and the reasoning behind that, perfectly clear now, 100%. You also said like this, obviously the soul was your mother's miscarriage, but the connection that it wanted was with your mother in a different way. Their bond is like ridiculous.
Oh, cute.
For a big skeptic to go into this reading, wow. Like the story of Billy, how she came about, everything that you said was just, you couldn't write that. And I did not leave there going, all right, I'm going to get pregnant. I'm going to have a girl. It's going to be before Christmas. Like this is going to happen. No. With my track record of getting pregnant, there is no way that I could have planned it. Secondly, won the lottery with the sex of the child, because you can't. I mean, there are people out there that say that you can. There's certain, positions and lifting your leg and all this kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't think that's true. So the fact that I had 2 boys and then a girl, and then secondly, with my track record of miscarriages, that was the whole big reason why we didn't want to go down the road of having another baby. We just emotionally, mentally just were like, okay, we're count our blessings every day for our 2 sons. We did win the lotto with them, so how many times can you win the lotto?
Apparently you should have bought a lotto ticket instead of having,
I know, right?
Instead of having I know. But I love that approach that, I think when people come to see someone like me, they're really looking for absolutes and answers. And I think maybe unknowingly, but you were just open energetically. And energetically, there was something maybe just desiring to come through for your family. Now, you could have gone away and literally prevented that and said, no, that's not for us. And that's totally fine. But maybe just being open to it and then going, okay, well, like if this thing's going to come through, it's going to come through.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. And then when it did, you probably needed to hear it so it wasn't so much a surprise.
Yeah.
And so in a way, kind of subconsciously, you were expecting it.
Well, we definitely, like, as I said, it was a conversation my husband and I had, 3 to 4 weeks prior. It was, are we done? Like, it's like we live away from our families. We live in Australia. All of our families are in New Zealand. So for us, it was like we're building this beautiful family and we're so lucky that we can. Do we want to expand it? And then we were just like, obviously that would be amazing. But with expanding it comes the possibility that you can't expand it, the possibilities of all the trouble that you can go through, falling pregnant, being pregnant. And then, if the baby does come about, that's 3 kids that you've got to, nourish, put through school, put through, try and give them an amazing life. Like, can we do that? So there was so many questions about it. And then it had come to the point where we're like, we've got 2 kids we never thought we could have. Like, why are we thinking beyond that? Like, let's just count our lucky stars. And then I saw you. And then you really stirred the pot on that one, didn't you?
I'm like, not for nothing, but I can get people pregnant. Not myself, but like other people. I don't know how I do it. But like, I'm really good with babies. So if you're like,
I don't know how you do it.
Either do I. But like, I need to like work that magic on myself. But yeah, babies seem to like be really strong with me. I love it. It's so gorgeous. And if you go onto Nikki's Instagram page, this kid is the cutest freaking kid. Like, I just want to eat her head. Like, she's like a little marshmallow head.
Can you channel in and let me know when she's going to grow some hair?
She won't graduate high school without hair. Let's put it that way.
Okay, good. But there's a big gap between then. She's just so cute, but she's
so cute. Stop it. You leave her alone. You leave my baby alone.
But yeah, going back to everything that you have said to me, am I still a skeptic?
Well,
no. Like, I mean, there's definitely things that you have said. We've done about 3 readings now in total,
a few times, yeah.
And every time I come to you skeptic, I'm like, maybe her ability's gone. Maybe she's not going to channel. Maybe she's not, like, even the recent one, which was only last week.
Yeah, we met recently. Yeah.
I came to you not telling you anything and just said, I'm here to see what comes up. And again, you just like blew me out of the water with what you said. And then I remember the middle reading we did was during the second lockdown.
Yeah.
And so that one was over Zoom. So again, I was skeptic, like, how do you do this over Zoom?
Yeah, zero difference for me. Was there a difference? Did you feel a difference?
No, I didn't. But I think I was skeptic with that one because I was like, how do how do you do this over a screen? But that was freaky, that one. I don't know if you remember.
So, I remember it was a lot about Dane's grandmother, and
yes,
and she was just really strong in that.
Yes. So obviously she had just passed. So I basically was doing that reading for my husband. And I was also pregnant, but kind of wasn't going to tell you. Again, was just like trying to like give you a little test.
Can't lie to a psychic, doll.
I know. And I remember the first thing you said when I jumped on, we were just chatting away. And then you go, oh, you might maybe have a miscarriage coming up. And like, or you said something, I can't remember the exact wording of it, but you were like, there's something going to happen. Are you trying to have a baby? And I went, I'm pregnant. And I think from everything that I'd gone through with my previous kids, I just basically like built up this little like wall inside me and was like, all right, okay, like this whole pregnancy came about in a way that, it shouldn't have. Maybe this is, whatever. And then I could just see it all over your face that you
I hate telling people stuff like that.
Yeah, you definitely. And there was just no doubt about that moment. It was just so raw and real. And it was just, and then I did have not a miscarriage, but I did have a very big bleed. And it was
I think I went to miscarriage because I saw blood.
Yeah.
And I was like, did I say that? I can't remember, but
I can't remember the exact wording of it, but you did say, I'm seeing a lot of blood like a miscarriage or something like that. You definitely said, yeah. And then you said, are you planning to have a baby? Or because I think we'd spoken about obviously my past with my kids previously. So you were like, oh no, I'm definitely seeing it like, and then, I can't remember how long after that reading it was, but I had a huge bleed, couldn't leave the bathroom, had to get taken to my obstetrician. And by the time I got to my obstetrician, I had gone into full, like, okay, this is happening. Just go through the motions again for the 5th time. Like, we can do this. A lot harder when you've got 2 kids. But then I walked into my obstetrician and he was just like, okay, I don't understand this because you were here like 2 weeks ago having a scan. He's like, but jump on the table, let's have a go. The strongest heartbeat. She was having a party for one with like glow sticks, like going hard, moshing by herself. And he's like, I have no idea what has happened.
Yeah, wow.
How basically like couldn't even figure out where the blood was coming from, nothing. He was just like, she's fine. Well, it's fine. Because it was still, I think we were like 13, 14 weeks. And obviously being in lockdown, we were kind of, keeping it quiet. We kind of still didn't believe what was going on. And having the history we had, we always kept it to ourselves as long as we could, because we were just petrified the whole way through every single pregnancy we've had, petrified that at any moment, think this what I thought was happening was going to happen. So yeah, you've definitely pulled me out of my non-skeptic zone, but at the same time, it keeps wanting to come back. It keeps like going, is this real? Because you hear all these things, and every reading I've had with you has been so incredible, like life-changing, literally.
Literally multiplying.
Yeah, multiplying. But it's kind of, it gives me goosebumps because it's even if it's not the psychic stuff and it's more the spiritual guidance stuff, which I never knew existed or even knew I needed or wanted to hear, that kind of thing. That just every time I leave you or meet with you, I leave so inspired and so motivated and so just like mentally in this amazing headspace that it's just such a strong feeling, you know, because it's almost like you just had a really good chat with yourself in the mirror.
Well, I'll like give you the take on why you feel that way. And that's exactly it. Because there's nothing that I can say to you or see for you that that isn't true to you. So whilst like we might be saying, oh yeah, that there's this female energy coming through, I'm sure on some level you had always kind of just known there was something in you being a girl mom, or there was something in you that maybe wasn't quite done with the babies, and practically make your decision not to do that, totally fine. And then, you know, with the business stuff, there's something in you that knows like, oh, this is maybe what I want or the direction I want to go in. And then any kind of guide is doing, anyone in my seat is doing, is just reflecting your truth back to you. So
but how do you see that? Like how?
The only way I can describe it is I literally just give myself over to your energy. So it's not like this, but you know that scene in Ghost where Whoopi Goldberg the ghost? No, he was the ghost, wasn't he?
He's the
and
ghost.
He goes into Whoopi Goldberg's body to like
yes.
It's not like that at all, but that's the only thing I kind of liken it to.
Right.
So I'm just kind of in your energy. So because I don't have your day-to-day fears, I don't have your whole lived experience in my memory bank, I'm not in your emotion, then I can see clearly of all the options, all the higher self, exactly where you're going, what the blocks are. And I'm just mirroring that back to you.
Wow.
And then sometimes you don't understand it. Like you said, like, why would this baby be for my husband? That feels weird. And then as it transpires, you're like, oh, now I get it. Or like, oh, there was a bleed. Oh, okay. I obviously needed to know that. Like my higher self knew you need to know this so you do not freak out. So you almost are expecting it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have this emotional charge to it because our emotions are just energy. And so when we're really feeling strongly emotionally, we can shift things maybe not into our favor because of that energy is really strong. And so that's just how I do it. And so when people say to me, I mean, we've talked about it, you know, kind of more on a personal level so I can remember some of this stuff. But most of the time people say, and you said this, I'm like, did I? What else did I say?
Well, how many readings do you do a day?
And I do a lot of readings a day. So there's a lot of people I see a week. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I can imagine the stories, you won't be able to connect who that was to, or, you know, like, you know, but I have a lot of skeptics also on my Instagram, right? Like a lot. And anytime I've done like a story from you and it's just been me outside your house telling my followers that I need to do a week because I'm meeting with you. And then I get bombarded with like, you know, and I can relate because that was me before I got to see you. But one thing, and I, you know, like as I sat there for that first reading, I was sitting there going, how else have you got? Do you know what I mean? Like waiting.
I know, most people do.
Awful. And you probably sitting there going, oh my God, when's she actually going to relax and be
and
like.
And you know what? Yeah. And as soon as you relax, what happens? Your friend can come through.
Yes. And you said, I don't know if you remember, but everyone always says to me, how do you know, like she could have Googled that. Like how can you know?
I wish I was that smart. I'm not that smart, guys. Sorry. I really had to
disappoint people, but a lot of the stuff that you said, no one knows. So, you know, only a very small handful of people know I lost my best friend. But then you also said there's energy coming from your side. Like here, there's energy coming here. They're like saying here, her initials are tattooed on my, and I don't know if you remember that. And I was like, oh my God, this is the moment I've been waiting for. And then you said this person is connected to you here. And then you basically just reeled off the most incredible stuff. I don't know, again, if you can remember this, but so she was a big part of my life. She was my best friend. So always someone to talk to, always someone to have that relationship with. And I feel like in this world, you are so lucky if you get that. And you might not get it again. Do you know what I mean? When you find that person, and you said to me, you told me stuff about her that no one could know. No one could know. Then you said, she sent you your husband.
Oh.
I don't know if you remember this. And you said, and then you said, but she had to do it again. She's done it twice. She sent you him twice because you didn't get it the first time. And the whole thing about me and my husband is someone's like, oh, so how did you guys first meet? We always crack up laughing because there's two stories, because I don't remember meeting him the first time. And so we always crack up about this whole like double meet thing. And then you were like, she sent him to me twice because I was like, la, la, la. But you were just like, this stuff's not on Google. Do you know what I mean? The stuff about and my mum and the connections and all this kind of stuff, you can't come up with that. You can't research that. And I certainly cannot follow that book by book to make it happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Like there's three things.
Yeah.
And it's like juggling balls. Like you can't, and,
And just FYI, most of my clients aren't Googleable. So there's that.
You're Googleable.
But also, like, even if someone is, you can research them. Just say you could, right? Energetically, we're all so like it never reflects the actual persona that's out there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the benefit of working with people in the public eye, that they've got this persona, or you make assumptions about them because of what you see. Yeah. But energetically, they are just as insecure and scared and fearful as everybody else. And they have all their shit. So many times I've literally, for example, read for people that have made their living off, let's just say, their relationship or their situation in life, and it's all bullshit. And so when they're sitting in front of you, you can see that straight away. So any kind of reader that attempts to do that, oh my God, what a phenomenal waste of time. You've got a lot of time on your hands and a good memory to remember that.
Yeah.
But it is about that deep connection. And I love connecting with the authenticity and the truth of people, and in their vulnerabilities and in their fears. And that's really, it's just an experience of holding. No one can really say this is going to happen on this date. And if they could, who cares? Like, you've still got to turn up to that place. You've still got to be open to that. And like that we said, like, the spirit wants to come through, you were just kind of like open to it. You weren't trying to make it happen.
It reminds me of my grandfather who had just passed away. And you said, is there anyone else? And you're like, oh, and I said, my grandparents, I'd like to just know that they're okay. And you went, there's a masculine, there's a male. He's too tired to come through, but he says he's okay. And that is so my grandfather, like, just so like, meh, I'm tired. Like, and the way he passed away was very sleepy. Thing. So that just kind of hit the nail on the head. And then you said, and now there's a grandmother coming through. She doesn't really want to do this, like talk like this, but if she had to, you could cook more for your family. And that is my mother's mother, who was like, so like, like back in the day, you have to cook and you have to, nurture your family. And then you said, with the cookbook in your pantry. So there's a cookbook in my pantry that is like from her to my mother to me,
cute.
Photocopied with all the recipes. And I was just like, again,
do you use it?
You know that, and getting the way that you said that about these two grandparents, like, how would you know that? And then another good friend of mine came through who passed away. And the way you said it was like, I had to think about this person first of all, and then it just like hit me, and I was like, how would you know? So they passed away doing breathing work in a pool. They drowned, and you brought this up, and you said they want you to know that they took it too far. Like, they're laughing they're laughing. They're like, oh, I didn't mean to take it that far. Like everything's fine, you know? And it's just like, again, this is stuff that you can't research. This is stuff that not many people know about me, or like, and it's funny because I dissected a lot of our first reading, being such a skeptic, having the reading, leaving basically like feeling like this superhuman, like with these powers, and like, you know, feeling just so motivated. I dissected it for days and days and days. I think I'm still dissecting our readings as we go along, like every, you know, but it's just, your ability is real. You will probably be the only person I ever go and see, because
don't cheat on me. You better not cheat on me.
Just
kidding. You can cheat on me.
But I feel like, you know, you had definitely have made me think about this whole side of things.
As a result of that, do you feel maybe because of your skepticism there maybe was ways in which you could connect to yourself that you hadn't because of that, and now maybe there
100%,
is?
100%.
Okay. Oh, that's so nice.
100%. Like I have always felt like when my best friend passed, I knew exactly she had gone. I knew she had gone. I was on a plane to Hawaii and I looked out the window and I turned to my mom and I went, Alex is gone. And then there have been other situations in my life that I've just managed to be like, this has happened. Like it's been like really freaky. That's why I feel like I am spiritual, but then I try and shut it down because I'm like, it's so unknown. And I'm like, there's not enough that I know about it. So it's just my brain. It's my brain doing these things on me, you know? But then I'm so intrigued by it. I like watch heaps of shows and I love like, you know, like I'm very intrigued by it. But then when it comes to you personally going to see someone, that's scary.
Yeah.
Because it's like either your dream's going to be shattered.
Yeah.
Like your idea of skepticism, like it's going to be like, told you so, you know, like, and then it's like this little thought that you had was like, just shut down. Or you're going to go and you're going to be like, wow, okay, this is real. So it was either win-win, you know, like it was either.
I believe people will always find what they're looking for.
Really?
Yeah. And if you're looking for, you know, that skeptic that comes in, I rarely get them, to be really honest.
But what about I'm looking for the lotto ticket numbers.
No, same.
I'm really looking for those. Does that mean like
doesn't work like that? Doesn't work like that. I wish. Could you imagine? I'd just do it myself and I wouldn't see any of you.
I know, right?
Be somewhere amazing. But I think people find what they're looking for. And when people come and they've got that energy of skepticism, it's so hard to read them purely because they're blocked. And I'm just like, this is so boring because you're just being annoying. Like it's just blocked.
Yeah.
And so I would always just advise people, don't come thinking I've got any type of answer that you don't have yourself. Come just to have a little connection with yourself, just to be held. For 5 minutes, just to be heard, to be nourished for a little bit.
Well, that's the thing. And when I first came to you, it was like, I don't know anything about what you do, your abilities, or what the hell is going to happen in this. I'm just here because I'm intrigued. And I was open to what was going to happen.
Yeah. And it was that's the best way to come through.
Best experience, like probably one of my most favorite experiences of my life. And I'm not just saying that because this is your podcast.
Don't tell your husband.
Yeah. I think
I'm not allowed to come to your house anyway, as it is.
I know. I think secretly it would be interesting to know if he like comes up with like dinner plans that night. I think at the end of he too is a skeptic that's certainly come around. My mom, like a lot of the stuff that I have passed on information, and the stuff that I have no idea about, because you've said a lot about my mother's mother and my mother's father, and I never got to meet my mother's father, so I don't know anything about him really other than his name. I think I've seen like a couple of photos of him in the old family albums, but I don't know a lot about him. And the recent reading I went to, you said he's very heavily involved with Billy now, as is my husband's grandmother, who she is named after. But everything you've said about that, again, has come like spot on. But she too is now like, okay, well, it's hard to not look at all this information and be like, there's no way you would know this about our family. Like, how would you know, So I think if you are a skeptic, I highly recommend just put yourself out there and give it a go, and then you will have the answers.
And like you did, go to, obviously you can come to me, but whoever just feels right for you, whoever feels that you're just connected with or drawn to, and just trust that, and just that openness, that curiosity. Don't shoot yourself in the foot by being so skeptical and like that you're trying to have that person prove their utility to you, because you're just blocking it. Don't do what I did in my very first reading, going to hear that my boyfriend was going to want me back because that dream was shattered. And just go open and go, okay, I'm just here to be seen. I'm here to be held.
And one thing I have to say about you is just the moment you opened that door, I forgot how nervous I was. Like, you just had this energy about you that was just so warm, and you were just like the sweetest. Oh my God, you made me feel so comfortable in like a split second. And then once I left you and went and did away, and then I was like shitting myself again. And then when I came back to you, you just have this most nurturing, like amazing energy. That's why and now I'm friends with you, because I just think you're such a rare and incredible down-to-earth person, and that portrays when someone comes into you for something that is nerve-wracking. So many emotions behind it, and you just put me at ease. Like, and I'm sure there are people out there that just just like, hey, sit down, I'll tap it. Like, you just give so much of yourself in that moment, and I just think that's very rare and so incredible.
I think it's such an honor to be trusted to hold your space. Like, I often think, like, who am I to do this? Shut up. Like, go back to teaching. Like, who are you to do this? I just love people. I think people in their truth are so freaking beautiful. And I just think it's a huge honor. So
do you think that's why a lot of people are skeptic? Because it's almost like they don't want to let their guard down? Or actually, I don't think they realize it goes to that level.
I think they're skeptic because people love the idea, or are very attached to the egoic idea that they are completely in control.
Yeah.
That people are really ultimately just afraid of hearing something they don't want to hear.
Yeah. And it's the unknown as well, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And people spend their entire existence controlling how they are seen, even more so now. By, I control what's put out there. I control what everything looks like. So if I have to sit in front of someone in my, for want of a better word, nakedness, that is very, very uncomfortable. We don't live in tribes anymore. We don't live in these villages. We don't live with people that truly know the truth of us. So to put yourself in that position, I already admire anyone who sits in front of me for that reason alone. What you take from it is none of my business. You can love it, you can hate it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I will say most people come back. And I think when they come back, it's so lovely to hear, and because of this, like, I shifted that and this and that. And it's like, oh, that's exciting. Like, how cool that, just opening yourself to being seen could maybe allow you to see yourself in that 100%. Potential, in that light,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think after that first reading, I said to you, how many times is too many times that I can come and see you? Because it was just like this awakening inside me. It was like, okay.
I do have rules around that. I do have rules around that. Not for you to have a wine, but like for reading, I have rules around that.
Yeah. So how, like, because
a full reading, like, it's really good to leave around 12 months.
Yeah.
But I understand that people will often find themselves in a situation because things shift and move that they need clarity. So I do offer like quick recorded readings. So you can ask me a question, I'll record the guidance. So you can have that whenever you want.
Yeah.
Energy healing. We need to do that. We haven't done that yet. Energy healing, like whatever you want. But then people will jump on mentoring. So it's just literally a conversation, but it's all chat. So you're like,
which
this
is kind of similar to what we did the
Yeah.
last time, right? Yeah.
So mentoring is a huge part of my work now. And I love that work because it's not just a reading per se. It's like, here's the mirror and here's the healing, or here's the shadow, or here's the trigger. Let's heal it.
Yeah.
So that you can move through things.
Yeah.
Thank you for being so open. Thank you for
oh my gosh.
facing
Thank you for literally changing my life. But no more children. I'm done. I'm done. And I think that's what we said when I walked in last time. I was like, don't even tell me. And you're like, you're good.
I was near Nikki's house the other night, and she said to her husband, "Oh, Kirsten might pop around for a wine," and he's like, "What? She's not coming here with more children, is she?" I'm like, I'm just not allowed in.
I think he's so petrified of just like everything that has happened and everything you've told me and everything that's like, it's scary, I guess, being that person, like we do this and I can, and then I'm just telling him and he hasn't met you. I think the moment he gets to meet you, he'll be like, fine. But yeah,
well, she's normal. She's just as mental as all of us. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But no, thanks for having me.
No, of course. It's just such a beautiful one. And I think this is the thing about this work. It's so beautiful. But for you to be brave enough to share it with your community, I think is also really admirable, because like you say, you will get that, kickback from it as well. So if you want to, you just have to go on his Instagram to check out her beautiful baby girl. She's just so delicious. If you want to brighten your day, go and look at that video.
And it's weird.
Videos of her.
I cannot imagine my life without her. Like, she definitely completes our family and has been like the little rock for our family. And her bond with the eldest is like ridiculous. So
beautiful.
Yeah, she's pretty amazing. So it's weird. I feel like if I hadn't met you and we hadn't sat down, it always is like, what would have happened? Because would I have into that in the dark and then been so petrified that I could have caused something myself, like, oh, this just, you
just didn't want it or whatever it was. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, follow Nikki along with her story. If you've got any questions, like, you're so open, so ask away, ask me, and we'll get to answering them. But thanks so much for making the time to chat through your skepticism with us.
Anytime. Thank you.